Hey everybody, it's Greg from Park Journey. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to our video where we're gonna recap all of the construction progress from Super Nintendo World from December of 2018, the very first indication that we saw of a crane on site for Super Nintendo World, all the way through to Media Night. Not opening day, unfortunately. We were supposed to be there opening day. I was supposed to be there opening day. I didn't get to go. I was a little under the weather, so I didn't get a chance to go. So basically, December 2018 through February 15th of 2023. So about 4 years, a little over 4 years of coverage of Super Nintendo World, with a little bit of a gap in there for something that was going on in the world for about a year or so. But we really hope that you enjoy this look back. I'm going to basically kind of go through the video. I put together a video. The first cut of this video was about 58 minutes. I think right now it's sitting at about 28 minutes. So with the intro and outro, probably around half an hour or so. Might end up cutting a little bit more out, so that it might be a little bit shorter by the time it gets to you all. But really excited to kind of bring this to you to show you our coverage of Super Nintendo World. This includes pictures that we took at the site. This includes all of our video updates. So I basically went through all of our video updates, cut out everything that was non-Super Nintendo related. That's how we got to the original 58 minutes, and then I just kind of started paring it down from there, or cutting it down from there. So really excited to bring this to you. Hope you all enjoy it. Hope you enjoy this look at the construction of Super Nintendo World, and obviously hope that you're all enjoying Super Nintendo World for those of you who have already visited or planning to. Hope you enjoy the land. Hope you enjoyed our coverage. Let's get right into it. But before I do, make sure you click below to subscribe to our channel. It is greatly appreciated. All right, so as I mentioned, our coverage began December 4th, 2018, and I believe our caption on this update or this social media post was, "There's a crane on site for something." Now, at this time, it wasn't real evident about what was actually happening. Rumors were that it was Super Nintendo World, but we weren't really sure at the time. Fast forward to February 9th of 2019, a little bit more work had been done, a little bit more land clearing. Obviously, there were sound stages here in previously, so there was a lot of land to go through. But you can see here some land clearing that had been done. But you could already kind of see the shape of Super Nintendo World as you see it now. You can kind of see it, there now that we know kind of what everything looks like. You can see that, and then down at the lower lot on February 25th of 2019. So exactly 4 years ago today, as I'm recording this audio version, you can see, you can't get this view anymore. There is Super Nintendo World in between the tram route and Transformers now. So you can't see any of this anymore. And that's all Super Nintendo World. So at that time, they had the gates open a little bit as we went through the tram that day. We were able to get some looks through the land. And then just a couple more looks from up the Starway. You can start to see some pylons and footers and supports for buildings being installed. And then all the way fast forwarding, as you can see in the 5 months between the two updates there, building starting to be constructed. So here we have basically everything on the right, which is the Mario Kart attraction. So that was basically the first thing that was being built. And we got, again, to get pretty close on the studio tour to get looks at metal, basically, and steel. And then kind of peeking through the fence there, again, all of the work going on, and then just a lot of steel work at that time around the land. And then just after Halloween Horror Nights that year in November of 2019, again, a little bit more work being done. You can see the different levels being done on the Mario Kart attraction there. And then more steel being constructed on the left side, which is the Bowser's Castle and the entrance to the attraction. November of 2019, again, more stuff being done. You can just see, steady progress as we moved through the final months of 2019, getting to about the year point of construction of Super Nintendo World. little video footage. This is when we actually started doing vlogs. We were admittedly a little bit behind on the vlog game. Wish we had started a few years earlier than we did, but you can see here going through. And then January 29th, 2020, we were actually there for the Lunar New Year that day. So that was a foggy day. But here's a look at Super Nintendo World. So here you can see just the steel work looks to be done on the Mario Kart, and they're just kind of starting with insulation and fire retardant and all that fun stuff. Some close-up looks inside the hollow building that is obviously completely sealed up now. And then from the tram route as well. And then up to February 20th of 2020. I think this was one of our last updates before the shutdown. I want to say we were there for a Secret Life of Pets tour that day that we didn't get to run until a full year later for obvious reasons. But you can start to see more drywall being installed, insulation, all that good stuff there. Here we go to March 20th of 2021. So a full year and a month. We actually went for the food event that they held at the park. So we were able to go down and get some pictures of Super Nintendo World. But according to John Corfino, when we had our tour in early January, during the shutdown, they were actually able to really work on the Mario Kart attraction. Mainly because they had started it so soon. So it's actually a good thing that they did kind of start the work on the attraction so early. And then as we go through, you can just see starting to get the shape of the mountains and things like that. And here we get our first glimpse at the entry tunnel here. So it's kind of interesting to see that before the shutdown and then until after the shutdown. It's a lot of work had been done. Once the mountains have been added, we're starting to see a little bit of theming coming around the outside of the land. Prior to this, we had a few posts where we had speculated that all of the Panda Express and deli and restrooms and everything were going to be taken out for Super Nintendo World. Obviously, that did not happen. So here we fast forward to May of 2021. So this was when the park finally opened for business. You're starting to see the mountains being added. Finally, a formal announcement had happened in between formally announcing Super Nintendo World here. And you're going to actually see through this video a couple of changes to that sign as we go through, which I actually found rather interesting as I was putting the video together. So here we see more of the buildings other than Mario Kart being done. And you can see to the right there, Mario Kart is pretty much completely sealed up at this point. So all of the work had been going on inside the attraction, as I mentioned, during the shutdown. And you can see it here, the entire, now knowing where the land is and how it sits, you can see it completely, walled off in there in that portion before they started adding in the mountains and everything around it. So really, ingenious how these theme park designers, around for all companies can kind of hide show buildings and things like that. And Universal obviously is no different. And then just another look at the entrance here. So you'll see the Super Nintendo World sign. Obviously, we know what is behind that is the warp pipe. That building there to the right now has clouds and is painted to match the theming. And then fast forward here from the studio tour, I believe. So more work being done on the areas outside of Mario Kart. So this would be basically behind Bowser's Castle and Mount Beanpole. But you can start to see a little bit on the left there the shapes of the mountains and Bowser's Castle. Also, I do need to apologize for some of the footage in this. I did have a hard drive crash in 2020 because 2020, so I had to go out to YouTube and get some more of this video, so the footage might not be as great. And then down from near Jurassic World, the back side of the land, and then up on the second floor patio there. Get to see a great look at the mountains and everything. July 20th, 2021, it will kind of start with a glorious sightline, as all of you like to mention for here. It doesn't bother me one bit, to be honest with you. I absolutely love Super Nintendo World. And then we've got all of the mountains on your right side, Bowser's Castle right in the middle, Mount Beanpole on the left. So again, as I mentioned, you can start to really see the land kind of start to take shape. August of 2021, basically that black hole right there in the middle, that is Bowser's Castle, where you enter the actual castle for the queue for Mario Kart. So you can kind of see where that is, Bowser's head, and then the statue is basically right there in the middle where that opening is right there. So it's kind of neat to look back and know where everything is now. And then basically all of that in there, all that steel is the queue for Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge. And then November of 2021, you start to again see more of the outside of the mountains and castle being done. And you can see the queue in there right in the middle there is completely dark in there. You can see work lights going on in there. They're really going to town working on all of that. And then there is the front that is hiding the Mario Kart show building. You've got the entry tunnel or the warp pipe there. I always thought it was interesting that the drywall was kind of different colors throughout the land. We had the yellow for the Mario Kart. We had the purple for the Mount Beanpole. I just always thought that was kind of interesting how and why they did that. I'm sure there's a reason. Maybe somebody who's a contractor or in construction could let me know what the difference is in the comments, because I'm not 100% sure. I'm not going to pretend to know. November of 2023, more drywall being added, more of the mountain kind of coming out from behind. And then again, we've still got our Super Nintendo World. Keep an eye on that sign, as I mentioned. It's going to change a couple of times. You'll see here. And I believe that is right there in the middle. That's the entrance to Toadstool Cafe in the white there. January 2022, so basically a little over a year from opening. Basically almost a year to the day from our first tour that we had on January 6th of this year. So again, we've got more, stuff being brought out. It's kind of a teal color this time, as you're seeing everything take shape. And I believe you just saw your first kind of themed element inside the land, which was the toad for Toadstool Cafe, the toad cap, or the mushroom cap, as it were. And I do apologize for some of the lighting. Sometimes it's very bright in the San Fernando Valley, so kind of the colors get washed out a little bit. So I do apologize a little bit for that that lighting there. And here we go through April of 2022. So you're really starting to see themed elements basically being put onto those metal parts, obviously done elsewhere and then just kind of plopped right on there. So we've got our Piranha Plant. I think that was the first kind of motion themed element that we saw. Here we have, work being done on the mountains, all of the different work being done elsewhere throughout the park. Peach's Castle there, all of the blocks and everything that houses the coins and everything, the spinning coins and everything, and the Goombas and the Koopas as you see them today. So at this point, you're really starting to see a lot of those themed elements coming into play. And there to the right, you can see the One Up Factory, and then as I mentioned earlier, the Toadstool Cafe. So again, it's really interesting to kind of see now that we know where everything is. You can see kind of in this clip here, all of the different stores and restaurants and restrooms and entrances and where all the games are and everything. So it's kind of cool to see, how it looked, not even a year ago. So here we have a change in the sign here, opening 2023. So again, at this point, no specific date, but they had announced that it was going to open this year. We just didn't know when at this point. So there was speculation, spring, early summer. At this time, we weren't really sure. Fast forward to June of 2022, you can see a little bit more work there on Princess Peach's castle there on the entrance. And then you're starting to see more of the animatronics. So a couple more Piranha Plants. One Up Factory, you can see it in through all of that steel there. Toadstool Cafe, you can see it right in between there. The restrooms, sign, everything. So you're starting to see everything coming through. And then fast forward, we've now got early 2023 on our sign here. So you can see that from those two updates there, we went from 2023 to early 2023. And at this time, speculation was pretty close to being accurate as far as February, March of this year. Obviously, opening before spring break, which they accomplished, which is kind of amazing. And then move through June of 2022. Again, you're just starting to see more and more of the land come into shape. So it's kind of cool to kind of see it this kind of fast forwarded, range here as far as not just every month or every 2 weeks or however much we were doing updates, but to kind of see it all together. And you can really see Bowser's Castle there, all of the mountains, and you're even starting to see some of the bricks and stuff that are in the middle of the land as well, kind of coming into shape now too. All right, so August 23 of 2022, you can see Bowser's emblem has now been added to the castle there right in the middle. And we've got more mushrooms moving around, the one-up mushroom, the entrance to the Bowser's castle is there, pals, all kinds of stuff. So again, you're starting to really see the land come together. And I want to say that this was one of the first times we saw movement. Maybe it was in the next update of one of the Piranha Plants. So we've got warp pipes. There's your One Up Factory. There's your restrooms. There's your Toadstool Cafe. all there in that shot there. Bowser's Castle, Mount Beanpole. And then as we know, kind of on the wall that's facing us, we have a couple of the games. We've got the Bowser Jr. Challenge. We've got the POW game. We've got the Petey Piranha game kind of facing that wall there too. And then obviously the land exit. And then there we've got Princess Peach's Castle. And then moving down to the lower lot, you're starting to see the mountains there being completed, the building being painted, which is great. And then obviously there's been some clouds added to that after the fact. You can see the fan misters from Transformers kind of getting in the video a little bit there. But here you can see a little bit. And then here we have our first look at the blocks at the entrance. Obviously the Super Nintendo World sign there is now, oh, there it is, November 4th, 2022. So we've got our Super Nintendo World sign, our warp pipe starting to really take shape there in the middle. And then here we've got more elements added, more of the scaffolding being removed. Obviously, as they finish, things at the top, they're removing things. They don't need to get up there quite as often. And obviously they've got ways to get up there anyway to repair things. We're starting to see more of the extended queue for Mario Kart Break Room being added as well. And then a lot more theming there on Princess Peach's Castle. And then down on the studio tour, again, a little bit of the extended queue for Mario Kart. And right there, I believe that somebody mentioned that is a break room right there, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So it's a couple of interesting areas there that we saw there in this update. And then we also got to see them adding in some of the themed elements there for the second level where it's snowing with snow-capped tree there. So just going to dive it right down into that spot. So it's kind of cool to see them adding in these elements, and now we get to enjoy them. And then down here on the lower lot, again, you can start to see the work that was done on that building with the clouds and everything. So it's funny to look back at this and realize that we were really just over 2 months away from technical rehearsals of Super Nintendo World from where this update was. So kind of keep that in perspective as you experience the land and how much work they got done in those last couple of months. And then January 6th, we got a tour of Super Nintendo World. We were very privileged to be asked or to be invited for a tour of the land. So our first look inside Super Nintendo World, which was kind of amazing. So this was a video. I'll link to that video here. And then we got to start really seeing, we saw everything. There was still a lot of work to be done. And this was probably about 5 days before technical rehearsal. And I will tell you, the amount of work that they did in those 5 days is kind of amazing to me, even still. We had to really be careful of what we shot that day. We had to run stuff by Universal PR to make sure that it could get out because it just it was an active construction zone. There were really a lot of work going on inside. So kudos to Universal Creative and all the workers for just really bringing it. January 16th, I got to finally go and do a technical rehearsal that morning. So I was very excited, obviously. So you finally get to go in and not have to worry about where I'm taking pictures and things like that. So I'm heading into the land. Got my Toad band, Team Toad for the win. And then some looks at the Bowser's Castle, the queue, and everything for the attraction. I'll link here. We did a full video walkthrough of the queue. I'll link to that here. And then obviously going into the land itself for the first time. Or for the second time, excuse me. First time with guests, I should say. And here we are, Super Nintendo World in all its glory. And then finally, February 15th of 2023, got to attend as part of the media event. We were there on the 15th and 16th Was supposed to be there the 17th as well, but as I mentioned, I was a little under the weather, so I didn't get a chance to go on the actual opening day. But hope you enjoyed all of our coverage, both here on Park Journey and on Thrill Geek. And then we'll just leave you with the fireworks show from that night.
We need your help in making a countdown to the opening of Super Nintendo World here at Universal Studios Hollywood. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Friends and guests, we now invite you to discover and play in Super Nintendo World.
All right, everybody. So I hope you enjoyed that look back at our construction of Super Nintendo World. I really enjoyed actually putting that together, kind of going through. That was really the first time I had actually played through the entire video as I was doing the narration. So it was kind of cool to see kind of the transitions, between December of 2018 all the way through now to the opening of Super Nintendo World. It was kind of cool to see all that happening, seemingly quick. It wasn't. But then, as I mentioned at the end of that, the work that had been done just the last few months to get the land open, kind of staggering, to be honest with you. So again, kudos to Universal Creative, Nintendo of America, Universal Studios Hollywood, all of the workers, all of the designers, all of the, basically everybody, for just designing an amazing land, an amazing attraction, amazing attractions. I mean, I consider all the mini games to be attractions. That Bowser's Challenge is so fun. If you haven't had a chance to do it, just really amazing. And I can't wait to see, what's coming next. Obviously there's rumors about what's coming next. We'll see what happens. They did announce, Florida's version. So, I mean, obviously we all, as I mentioned, the worst kept secret, was the Florida version. So, excited to see what's coming next. Really excited to, bring you more from Super Nintendo World this year. Thank you for watching. Hope you all enjoyed that. Take care, and we will see you at Super Nintendo World.